Okay, today I want to talk about the making a comp inside of Photoshop. I know it's been a couple weeks since I made a video. I've been ill and my software was down for a while, but I'm back up and working on things. And what I want you to do is I want to talk about making a comp with you. And basically, what a comp is, or a mock-up is basically a color version of what a website would look like. And we're going to kind of use some of the samples that I made for Zircon. And I think I linked some up on the website earlier. But again, you could just look for some examples on Google if you want. You can go to Google and images, and we can just type in website mock-up. And it'll show you some samples. Again, what I'm looking for is a color version. I know we've already gone through, drawing by hand and creating a wireframe. So in this case, I'm looking for more of a color version of what a website would look like, kind of like this. And usually you would do something like this in Photoshop or Illustrator. In this case, I'm using Photoshop today. But there's a whole bunch of examples. I've been looking at the WordPress for some nice examples of website layouts, and I know there's some people that have taken a WordPress class and things like that, kind of like this layout here. So again, a comp is just basically a color version of what a website would look like. I've made a couple for when I was redesigning the Zircon site, and so if you look here. This is all done in Photoshop. Again, these are just what the navigation would be, maybe what some of the colors would look like. There's examples of what a breadcrumbs would be, where it tells you what section you're at and what tool you're looking at, or what section the tool is in there. So, just being able to do these kind of things within Photoshop is very important if you're going to be a designer of websites, just so that you can be able to show your client a sample of what it would look like. Mostly it's just done in Photoshop by just using any of these Photoshop tools. Let me show you a couple more samples. Again, mostly I'm doing it for navigation and ideas of how the navigation would look, or maybe how the logo could be changed and things like that. That's what I'm looking for, is more of what your ideas are. Again, maybe some color examples and things like that. If you look at this one, which is way too colorful, we determined. But more of, where the menu would be and how things are laid out. Much easier to do it here in Photoshop, quickly in Photoshop, than it would be to just do all the coding for this. So that's sort of why you do a mock-up in Photoshop first. And this one has a kind of a side navigation. So after I did some preliminary ones like this, and that's sort of what I want you to do, is just basically ideas right now. And then I will review them and give you some more feedback. I went into more detailed ones after that. And so, again, this is just text in Photoshop, and just different layers. If you look at the layers in Photoshop, like this one, I'm sure would have a whole bunch of different layers in Photoshop here. You can see them all. Each one of these is just a different piece in Photoshop. And then I put things in groups. So you can have groups of content. And they're just ideas. So this one was a pretty good idea, but they didn't go for this one. But if you zoom in, you could see it's basically some text and colors and how the navigation would work. Let's look at a couple more here. I think these ones way too colorful. You have like purple, green, yellow, red here, compared to what I originally, the final version. And so let me go over some easy ways that you could do some of these. One of them is I'm trying to redesign a current site that I have, my current class site. If I could bring that up right now for you, I'll show you what I mean. Then I'll talk basically about some samples that I have. here's some of the artwork that I'm going to use. The site that I really need to redo is my school site. So if I bring up the digital-media.westvalley.edu site. This is a site that I had a student do several years ago, and I just haven't been able to update it. It's just too hard to update this site. So I'm going to redo the whole entire thing, and I want it to look more like a blog, and so that's why I was looking at the blog pages. So this whole site needs to be all redone. So some of the things that I tend to do, like if I want to keep something or do something, is I want to have a calendar and things like that. So some things that I do is by using the screenshot or the picture screen on a Windows computer. So on a Windows computer, I can hit the print screen key, and then I can go over to my Photoshop, and I can say File New, and then hit OK, and then I can paste by using the Control V. And so then I can steal, and right now I took a screenshot, and it's even showing my video recording software right here running. So in this case, I can then use the crop tool and crop out what I want. Like I wanted this photo, and I didn't have that photo, so I can crop it out, and then I could use it in my comp. Okay. So taking print screens of things that I want, I actually had a calendar somewhere. Wasn't there a calendar I was looking for? Or if you like something, like one of these layouts, oh yeah, here it is. This is the calendar. I want to use this calendar. Let me go to the live demo here. I like this layout. I like the artwork up here, the nice simple black with white text and a little rollover effect. So I really like this layout, and I'm going to try and mimic some of that. But I'm going to sort of put it into my comp before I do that, so I can have some people look at it and see if they like it. And I want this calendar right here. So again, easiest way to if I'm building basically a comp inside of Photoshop is just to take a picture of it. I can hit my print screen key on my keyboard. If you're on a Mac, you can use your Command Shift 3. That'll take a picture of the entire screen on the Mac. And then again, if I go under File New inside of Photoshop and then hit OK, I can then paste it in there by using the Control V, and it pastes the entire thing. And then I can use my crop tool, which is this one right here, and I can draw a box around what I want to keep. Like I want this calendar here. I like this calendar, and I don't like the new crop feature in Photoshop. The older one I thought was a lot better. But as you can see, I can then use the crop tool. Oh, maybe I'll even keep the word archives in there. There we go. And then I can hit enter on the keyboard, and now it's a piece of artwork that I can use in my layout. Now, if I'm starting in Photoshop by scratch to make a comp, usually I start with a preset size. In this case, if I go under File, New inside of Photoshop, I can then choose under where it says presets here. There's one for web right here. And what this web option is right here inside of Photoshop, it's kind of the main screen sizes that you have on the on people's monitors. Like you have that 800 by 600 is a fairly old, like 13 or 15 inch monitor. The 1024 by 768 was like a 17-inch monitor, but of course today we have all these bigger size monitors like the 1280 by 1024 or by 1024. So you could choose one of those. That's fine. I'm not going to make it the whole screen. I'm not going to make a website or a comp that exact dimensions right there. But I'm going to start with a kind of a starting point. The other thing that you might want to bring up in Photoshop to help you measure things while you're working, and I tend to use, is to bring up the rulers. The rulers. If you go under View, you'll see there's one that says Rulers right here. And if you say Rulers, it'll show you the dimensions up here. Okay, and dimensions along the side. Now, right now, the rulers, I don't know, there must be in inches, I guess. If you want to change the rulers so they're in pixels, like since we're doing things for screen design there, we're looking for pixels, you can usually do that underneath the preferences, which would be under Edit, Preferences. Oh, it's below the screen. I know you can't see it right now, but there is a preference at the bottom down here, and if I go to General here, there's so much stuff in Photoshop today. It's amazing. It should be, here it is under Units and Rules right here. And where it says Rulers right here, I'm going to change it to Pixels. and then I can hit OK. So now I can see the actual pixels up here, the numbers that go along the top and the bottom. The other thing that you can do also to help you build things and do things is to put in guidelines inside of Photoshop. What a guideline is like an invisible line that doesn't show up when you save it, but it is shows inside of Photoshop when you're building things. So if you put your cursor in the rulers in Photoshop here and hold your mouse down and drag out, it's going to bring a guideline out. And usually I'm going to put a guideline right here around 100. And I'm going to put another guideline over here around 1200 here. So when I draw a rectangle, it'll be between this guide and this guide right here. And then just to give me a reference, because this is 100 and this is 1200. So that would be how big? It would be a 1,000. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 1100 pixels. So to draw, I want to have a mask or a graphic at the top of my page here. So again, a lot of the tools that I use to make mock-ups inside of Photoshop are just the basic shape tools. Those are located towards the bottom of the menu bar here. And if you're looking at the menu bar, you can double-click to get a double view, or double-click and get a single view. I'm going to double-click so I can have a double view so you can see more. Again, I just did that at the very top of the toolbar here. Just by clicking twice, it'll change the way that the toolbar actually looks. But a lot of what I do will be like basic squares and things like that. So I'm going to do the rectangle tool here. And I'm just going to put a rectangle across the top, and that is going to be for my masthead. Then I can import my logo. Usually I open and copy and paste. So what I'm looking for here is my website. It's under Documents. It's under Digital Media. If I can find it. No. There it is. And then, there's some photos that I was hoping to use, so I might open those up. I can use the Shift key to select the multiple objects. And let's see, let's select a whole bunch of them. Open those up. And then I'm going to open, I want my logo. It's got to be in here somewhere. This is the old website that you were looking at, and so I downloaded all the files so that I could bring them. Well, I can find the logo a little. Again, I'm not sure where the logo is. So, again, just like I was talking about, probably the easiest way to get things is to just take a screenshot. So I'm just going to go again back to my website, my digital media website here, and of course here's the logo up here. And if I hit my print screen key on the keyboard and I go over to Photoshop, I would say File, New, hit OK, and then paste, Control V, and then I'm going to use my crop tool, and I'm going to draw a box around my logo, and hit Return, and then I'm going to copy that by hitting Control A on the keyboard and then Control C on the keyboard. And I'm going to go back to my untitled document that I was working on. Where was it? There's my pictures. And, I don't like the way Photoshop works today. I like the old version. That's not the white one I was using. That's not the one I was using. Oh, there's that, my calendar. Here we go. So we were working on this layout. And then I'm going to paste by hitting Control V. So here's my logo here. I'm going to put that up there above in my bar here. Of course, it doesn't look exactly right, because my bar is black and that is white. But that's okay. I can always go into my layers window here and change that. Color of the rectangle. I wanted to make it kind of a gray. There we go. Okay, so we have a gray. And then if you want to put a line around something... I'm not used to this version of Photoshop. If you want to put a line around stuff inside of Photoshop, there's a stroke, just like you have inside of Illustrator. Down here under the effects, you have a stroke. And I'm just going to put a stroke of maybe 2 pixels around the outside of that. Okay, so you can put strokes, and that again was inside of the layer window. I chose my rectangle, and underneath the FX here, there was a stroke. So I used that stroke a lot to put lines around things so that you're making boxes of content and things like that. Other things that I do if I'm going to make a navigational bar, usually what I do is, and I'm just going to quickly make one real fast because I'm running out of time here, is I want to have maybe a round button, and I want to have some text in there. And this is going to be, how about classes? And let me zoom in so we can see what we're doing here. Classes. And let me zoom in here. There we go. Put our text in our button here. Let's make our text a little bigger. There we go. That's pretty ugly. I don't like to stretch text, but I'm just trying to do this rather fast. The other thing I tend to do with the text is when I'm working with text, I use the center line right here. Boom. That way, when I draw another piece of text in the center of this button, it'll draw that too. Again, my shape. I have to keep coming to the layers window here. Maybe if I pull it away. Thank you. You'll notice I have my shape that I have, and I'm going to put a little stroke around that. There we go. Let's do 2 pixels for that. I tend not to use 1 pixel for things. The other thing you could do inside of Photoshop to help organize yourself. So I have one button for my website here. I'm going to make it kind of a rollover effect, maybe. So right now it has this ugly gray in there, and I'm going to maybe let's not worry about that right now. I'm going to group the text and the round rectangle together in my comp here. So if I select both of them, go to the pop-up menu. There's like this pop-up menu in the upper right corner of the layers window, and I can say convert new group from layers right here. New group from layers. It'll take the 2 that I have selected and put them into a layer, and we'll call that button. So you'll notice that things are organized inside of Photoshop into a button. Then if I was going to make it like a navigational bar, or an example of a navigational bar, I could duplicate this button. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and use the Move tool right here. Alt, click and drag. I don't want it overlapping. There we go. Alt, click and drag. You get the idea. And then once I duplicated all of them, I can go back with my text tool and select the text and change it. So classes, degrees, and so on. So that's an easy way of making a menu bar, is to make one and then duplicate it and then change the text. Again, a lot of the pieces that I want to do, like the photos of people I want to use in my website, I can copy and paste. And so I'm going to copy that and paste it into my Photoshop here. And then again, I can shrink it down. I'm using the Move tool, and whenever you have something selected in the Move tool here, you can put your cursor along the edge and shrink it down. So Photoshop is a great tool for building comps. And then, of course, I wanted my calendar on there. I'm going to hit Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and I'm going to go back to my, it didn't take that. Have to hit the Move tool to apply it. And then paste my calendar. I'm going to put that over here on the right side. So you can see I'm starting to build. So what I want you to do for this week, if you can, is just make a simple color version of what your redesign would look like. Probably following your wireframes that you made and your drawings that you made last week.